You have now entered into Tony Tone's world. The Tony Tone's world.
Yeah,
You were nonstop talking about that shit.
dude. Telling you. Look how dark this beer is.
What is it? It's like an IPA.
It's a stout, imperial stout.
I mean, that makes sense. Stouts are usually pretty dark. That looks like you're drinking black licorice. Do you like black licorice?
No, fucking hate it. It's disgusting.
All right. At least that's one thing we can agree on. We don't tend to agree on a lot, but that's black licorice is awful. I don't
Yeah.
understand how people develop taste buds for things like that.
Like drinking Jaeger bomb.
I can't stand it.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big. I mean, I've obviously I've taken Jaeger bombs, and when people buy them for you, it's kind of hard to turn them down sometimes, right? But I would never buy myself a Jaeger bomb.
Dude, I don't know. If people buy me Jaeger bomb, I feel like it's almost a slight. Like they want to see me fucked up and throw up. So I feel like I don't know, Like,
yeah, but nobody has to get you there. You get yourself there. So I don't know if that's accurate.
bro, don't be putting my business out like that. That's crazy. I just like conspiracies.
Yeah, right.
And I typically can't read unless I'm having a couple of cocktails.
Here's another one for you. Do you like burnt things? Like, I know people who like burnt toast and burnt popcorn and burnt tortillas, and that's like their thing.
Dude, my wife likes burnt tortillas. She doesn't like black charcoal, but she does like them a little on the burnt end. She used to like her steak burnt as well, like well done.
Well done.
Thankfully she's out of that, so we both like it to where like you just basically put it in the microwave. It's still mooing.
I feel like anybody who likes well done steaks is one, they grew up where their parents didn't let them eat anything other than well done steaks. And two, they just can't get over the blood part of a rare or medium rare steak.
Or three, their parents didn't know how to cook.
I mean, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Anybody who was cooking well done steaks when you were growing up for your kids, you just didn't know how to cook because, period. A steak should never be cooked well done. It's disrespectful to the steak, to the cow, right?
Yeah. I do like a crust on things like this, like a steak or even like a pizza. Like I like a nice little crust on it, but I don't know. Burnt is something crazy. I can't do it. It's not for me.
Right. There's a big difference between crust and a crunch, or that just charcoaly burnt taste that some people like. Like, to me, I think the worst is burnt popcorn. I used to have a coworker who would burn their popcorn
on purpose.
Like, yes,
and stink up the whole office.
That's what I'm saying. They used to burn popcorn and cook it at work, and they literally had to stop or prevent people from cooking popcorn at work anymore because it was a smell that like literally would stink up the office because it's such a distinct, disgusting smell. And yeah, it was just bad. So they had to tell her not just her specifically, but offices where you can't single out a single person. So they had to put a ban on, cooking or doing certain things because that smell would just be horrible. Just like people who wear too much cologne or perfume to the office, they have to. You ever heard of them putting out like, messages of please refrain from using.
We haven't had that issue in like before when I used to work. I worked in logistics, so dealing with mostly like men and old dudes. So like it was the opposite. It was like these guys need a fucking shower and take a bath because they stink.
Yeah, I guess you have the opposite side, right? They stink. Yeah. You wish they would spray something.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I feel like There's just so much shit going on in my life right this second. It's just so crazy. But again, back to like the conspiracy world. Like I've been in this whole conspiracy hole right now about learning about different things. And there's really, have you seen all these like well, they changed it to UAPs recently. Have you seen all these like unidentified aerial, whatever? I can't remember what the fuck the acronym's called, but basically UFOs.
Yeah, I mean, your TikTok and any feeds or Instagrams, they're
Dude, my
literally
feed
full.
is wild. I just got to look up like puppies for like the next month to reset my algorithm. I think there's actually a way to reset your algorithm on Instagram now.
Maybe it's possible
I
because
think.
I feel like I don't even know if yours can be reversed unless it's completely reset somehow.
Just start a brand new page.
Yeah, just start a new Instagram because you're done, bro.
Yeah. Like then there's like that 7.0 hurricane that happened in California. So like
The
one of
earthquake.
yeah, one of the things of Project Bluebeam is them creating catastrophic like weather or some to that effect. And one of those steps is they don't have the ability to make an earthquake because it's just involves so many people and like the amount of time and resources for that. But
At least a
that on
legitimate earthquake, anyways.
that and then on top of crypto and then on top of like basically the Illuminati or the council, if you will, is trying to get a one world government to basically rule the world. And essentially from what I've seen, it's kind of reminds me like Hunger Games basically. And then another part of it was to like use holograms to create mass hysteria, such as UFOs and stuff like that, like an alien to have like to separate the religious people from the non-religious people, so that you have so like for instance, like an alien appears, like a big old alien in the middle of the sky appears or some shit, or like a big ass UFO, everybody sees it, but in reality it's like a hologram, but it creates mass hysteria. The religious people don't, start not believing in religion, and it's just some crazy shit. So it's kind of what I've been up to.
Yeah, you went on a little bit of a rant about it on Saturday, and I hadn't heard of it until then, or at least that project
Did it
specifically, the
start?
one
Did
you
it start
mentioned.
showing up in your algorithm?
No, because I was on my computer, so I looked it up on my computer, not my phone.
Okay.
So my computer doesn't have an algorithm that I know of,
Yeah.
where it's listening to me and feeding me things. Not that whatever, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I would have to say, although I did look into some of it when you were ranting, I didn't find anything that swayed me in any belief sort of fashion.
Right.
That anything's obviously anything's possible. I just think that
I'm not saying I don't fully understand the entire concept of it yet. I'm still learning, but I will say that it's very fishy that everything is starting to, I don't know. It just feels like everything's happening at once, or maybe it's just more eyeballs, more cameras are out. Everybody's able to capture everything all at once. I don't know. I don't know. Just
I do think that in this day and age, I think people are more skeptical around shit like that, especially with how widespread social media and how much fake shit is out there. I
right.
think it would take a lot for some type of mass hysteria to really hit home, as much as, just seeing some alien shit. Like, people are more skeptical to believe that it's legitimate. So
Yeah.
I don't know how hard that would hit home. I mean, not that I want to even get into this conversation, but especially after COVID and how that went and everything that had affected people in different ways, I think people are more than ever just a little bit more on edge, or a little skeptical. I'll just leave it at that, towards you know widespread hysterias about those types of things. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just my belief. Just I think people are more than ever just I don't know. They're not going to believe shit like that. They're not going to dig into things and just let let the media
Yeah.
drive their beliefs anymore.
I remember we can get off topic in a little after this. I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to somebody. I can't remember. Maybe it was you or some in the group. And I was telling everybody, I personally don't believe we don't have to worry about what's in space. We have to worry about what's underwater because of how much, we have not discovered underwater because of the, obviously it's hard to get there, pressure and things like that. But recently in New Jersey, they're having all these UFO sightings, and apparently some of them have been coming up from underneath from the water. And that's kind of where they come from. And
so I think there's,
I don't know. I'm just saying, man, there could be something underneath the water where we've been so concerned about space. It could be both, really, but I don't know. Maybe we're living in a simulation.
There's a whole world of Atlantis aliens underneath in the ocean that we just don't have a clue about, huh?
Apparently, there was a Bigfoot spotting a couple months ago in like Colorado or something like that too.
So everybody who believes in mermaids, there's a chance that there is actual mermaids, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Mermaids and sirens and all of them are legit.
What if we're space? What if below in the ocean is another like the Simpsons movie where there's a globe? Have you ever seen the Simpsons movie?
The fact that you said, "What if we're space?" Like, I don't think I can get over that part of it.
What if we're the aliens?
I'm all for like asking questions to get the brain thinking and open discussion, but that's just that's.
All right, you're not on my wavelength. All right, let's change subjects.
People literally travel to space. You have a whole podcast that you need to re-put out about space with Goose. That he has degrees, and people make. You're talking about NASA, and
hey, I'm just throwing it out there, man. I'm not trying to solve the world's problems here. I'm just throwing it out there.
But you said, "What if we're space?" Like,
I'm just saying, what if we're a different? What if we're somebody's atmosphere? What if somebody in the middle of the world? Maybe the world's not even a circle, or a sphere. Maybe it's flat.
Flat Earth guy. No,
maybe there's dimensions of this.
So those are more legitimate questions than saying, "What if we're space?"
Oh shit, that's funny.
That's
all right. Now that I think about it, it does kind of sound stupid.
Hey, what a time!
Edit that out.
No. Don't edit that. Don't edit that. Leave it in there.
All right. Well, let's get back to the Earth. We did have NFL this past week. Man, I'll go first. I don't know. Bears changed coaches. Thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe a glimpse of hope. But man, by the second half, by halftime, I turned off the game. I think you text something in the group chat, and I just said "F you," and then after that, I turned off the game. It was just at this point, it's just so miserable being a fan of the Bears. Like, it's just time after time. I don't know. They just came out flat. They didn't show any sort of punch in their game this past week. It was bad on all aspects.
Dude, they had less than 10 yards by the end of the second quarter.
Dude, that's wild. There's like an image that they put on the game too. It was so embarrassing.
It was.
At one point, it was 4. At one point, it was 4 yards. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
And to go back to, because I know we talked about when I texted you during games, all I sent to Tony was the little eyeball emojis, where it's like opening your eyes, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
and then Tony texts back when he usually doesn't. Fuck you. And I literally I died of laughter. Like, it was so funny to me.
Because I remember you saying that I don't text back. So that's how 0 to 100 I go.
Yeah, and you were like, I value your friendship, that's why I don't text back. So then because that conversation, it made me laugh that much more when you did text back. Like, I didn't even have anything to say back. Like, I was just so funny. Like, nothing else needed to be said. It was just, that's hilarious. But I know, just talking about the game, it was bad. Your offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
The offensive line is terrible. They literally couldn't do anything offensively because their offensive line just, it was like they were opening up holes and just saying, hey, go on right through, guys. Like, go get Caleb Williams because he's a rookie quarterback and he needs to be sacked more. Like, your right guard, I think, and your left tackle, like they're holes. They're holes in your offensive line. They do nothing. They do nothing.
It's ridiculous. Leonard Floyd had 2 sacks on us. Gross Montos had 3, 5 between both of them. I mean, it's just they couldn't. It was either pressure or it was just sacks. Like it was just horrible. And then play calling was just not the greatest. DeAndre Swift is a shell of himself. I really miss Montgomery right now.
Yeah, I mean, needless to see, but it's not Swift's fault. It's not that he can't run. It's the offensive line. Needless to say, I mean, you guys already know what you're going to be doing this offseason, right? You already know what you're going to be drafting in the draft. So it's not going to be like an exciting draft or an exciting offseason for you guys because your biggest issues are the tackles and your offensive line, which nobody gets excited when you draft those things, right? Like it's just not like, oh, okay, it's something we need, not something.
Especially because we've been doing it for the last 10 years, man. It's just ridiculous. Besides Trubisky and Justin Fields, I mean, this was probably the most exciting offseason that we've had. Yeah, I remember one year we got Musa Muhammad. That was pretty exciting. We had Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, there was just, I don't know, it's just always offensive or defensive linemen. And it's just kind of pathetic at this point. It's just, and then there's like frustration. There's supposed like rumors of Poles being upset because who he has to report to now. And he was supposed to be reporting directly to the ownership and things like that. So there's turmoil there. And it's just a one big clown circus shit show.
You know what's funny though is it just goes to prove how important every aspect of the game is. You know, it's not just coaching. It's yes, the quarterback gets the spotlight, but quarterback can't do shit if he doesn't get blocking to, you know, to throw the ball or to read the field. It's those trenches. Everything starts in the trenches, man. And I think the trenches they don't get the respect that they deserve sometimes because again, they're just blockers. They're just linemen. They just don't get the love that they deserve. So yeah, people should really value those guys because they make all the difference in the world, man.
No, I mean, you see it all the time where like, I think even Dak Prescott did it last year or something like that, maybe a year ago, 2 years, where he brought all his linemen like Rolexes and stuff. Like you always see quarterbacks giving their linemen gifts and stuff like that. So appreciation.
CJ Stroud last year, he was a rookie, and right out the gate, man, he was like, he knew it's something coming up for him, as he knew those guys are the most important. So like he went and bought all those guys, and obviously as a rookie, yeah, he has money, but he don't got money like as a normal quarterback would, right? Because he's still on a rookie contract. He went and like bought some extravagant shit for his linemen. He was having like dinners where he would invite all of his linemen over on the weekends, and he would feed them and families and all those things. Like he like took care of those guys because like those are everything for him. You know what I mean? Like they make the difference of anything and everything he did. So yeah, that was you know, something that, you know, more quarterbacks could learn from.
And I'm sure they do it, but man, it must. Imagine that grocery bill or that feeding all those linemen.
You're feeding some beasts because those dudes don't eat regular. They do not eat regular.
No,
they eat meals on meals. Like
that's crazy.
Wild the amount of food that those boys put away.
I'm not looking forward to Sunday or Monday night game. We have a Monday night game against the Vikings. But luckily, there's 2 Monday night games because this one will probably be trash. So, well, the other one actually is probably going to be trash too. Falcons at Raiders, but we'll get there. All right. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. My energy, again, I turned off the TV about halftime. Didn't really watch much else, and then that's about it. Fuck the Bears right now.
It was an interesting weekend for games. There were some really good games, and there were some other just the hell's going on games. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's go to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, we could jump to the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they actually did. I will say, as that they played a better game than I thought they did. They should have probably won that game, but did you see what happened in the end of that game?
Yes, I did. I remember watching it. I don't remember like what the details were.
So basically, in the end of the game, I think there was around like 3 minutes left. Whatever, the Cowboys stopped the Bengals. It was a 20-20 game at this point. One of the Cowboys blocks the punt, but he didn't block it like fully
Right.
block
Yes.
it.
Yep.
So he got like a tip of the ball, and what basically caused the ball to still go up in the air and go a little bit downfield. Well, ball still had some momentum. So one of our guys, and he's a bum. Like, I don't even know why we're still playing him, but it's just because we've been a little depleted in the secondary. This guy named Warrior or some shit like that. He runs up and tries to still field the ball off of like a crazy bounce. And what happens? It fucking bounces out of his hands. So then, of course, it's a live ball. So what happens is the Bengals recover the shit in good field position. And I think like 3 plays later, they throw it to Jamar Chase, who goes down the field for like a 40 yard touchdown, which ends up putting them up, by the winning score. It was ridiculous. Like, granted, again, like I didn't think that the Cowboys were going to win this game. I legitimately thought that the Bengals would do better, although our defense has been doing better, so I should have predicted that it would be somewhat of a close game. That was just, it was pathetic. It was like, that's just the state of the fucking Cowboys right now, so it is what it is. It was almost like somebody said, hey, go fumble the bag because, hey, our season's done anyways, so what's the point of winning this game?
Stop winning.
Yeah, so I was like, I kind of just went, whatever, it is what it is. I wasn't like mad about it. It was just like having to see that. It was like, what the fuck? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's a high school kid mistake. That's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you don't do that in the NFL. Get your ass away from the ball. The other thing that really hurt me is, and I've talked about him a few times, is the Demarion Overshone, our second year linebacker, his first year actually playing, because last year he had a ruptured knee. Well, dude, I didn't actually see the play. I don't, so I didn't know exactly what happened, but he had a nasty injury. So not only did he rupture, his ACL, but he ruptured the MCL and the PCL. I mean, he literally just has a knee that's blown out. Like he has nothing.
That's sad. That sucks.
It's so shitty to just, for him, obviously, especially just because to have that injury 2 years in a row when you have so much.
Is it the same knee?
Yes.
Mm.
And he has so much potential as a good player. Like, coming back from that, honestly, the sad part is he's not going to be the same player. He's not going to play the same way. He's just going, like, I don't know. Who knows if he comes back, because it'll be 2 years from now before we'll see him again. He's going to miss the entire 2025 season because that's such a significant injury. He's going to be out for over a year and more. So I don't know. That's just rough. We also had like a lineman or get a concussion in that game. One of our defensive backs, CJ Goodwin, got a injury. So it was just like some more.
And then you had Micah Parsons walking off the field.
I mean, I don't blame him. I would have been pissed walking off the field too. Like, if you saw Micah Parsons throughout that game, like, he was gassed in the fourth quarter. He was legitimately gassed because that guy was all over the place the entire game. Like, he had a good game and he was just gassed, and he put everything he had into winning that game. And for them to lose like that, dude, I'd be pissed too. Like, he was beside himself. They showed him a few times on the bench at the very end. Yeah. He was beside himself, like, legitimately he was in disbelief. And I felt every emotion he was thinking, because that's exactly how I felt. Like, what in the hell just happened? But I wasn't the one actually playing to feel like, what did I just put all that work into? What am I trying for? You know what I mean? For us to lose.
There was rumors that he wanted out, but then apparently he came back and said that he wanted to be part of Jerry's world.
Yeah, he
So,
wants to be a Cowboy for life. He just it's frustration. I mean, that shit always happens. They might
but
say shit
if
when
you're
people.
Jerry Jones and you got the team that you got, you can definitely get some assets for him.
Nah, he's not going. He's not going anywhere.
Okay. Well, when he's on the Bears next year.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you like that? It's not gonna happen, buddy.
All right. I think
You
one
guys
game.
trade away good defensive players. You guys don't
That is true.
trade for
Yes.
them.
No, that's true. One game I want to talk about was the Dolphins and Jets. Did you see that game?
I watched some of it. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty. I don't know. It got good at the end. Obviously, they went into overtime, but to see the Jets lose again, man, it's a shit show over there. I'm very excited to see what they do in the offseason. They're just going to tear it all down, get rid of Rodgers. What their next move is really, because
Well, it's
they just can't. They just, for whatever reason, they just can't put it together. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers had over 330 yards, so he had actually a pretty good game. It's just obviously the defense couldn't hold it together there.
Rodgers isn't signed for next season, is he?
Oh,
I don't.
is it a 2 year? Was it 2 years?
Yeah, it was a 2 years, so I don't think he's signed for next season. I don't think it's a matter of if they get rid of him. I just don't know if it's I think it's a matter of if he even comes back.
How do you not come back though? You have everything you want. I mean, I guess as far as like receiving wise, like you have pretty good receivers there.
Yeah.
You've pretty much have been able to get rid of the head coach and other personnel in the organization because you're a pool. I mean, what else?
He
Where
got
are you gonna go?
he got his OC, he got his wide receiver, he has a good running back. I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. Like when I look at that team, they should be better than this. Their defense has pieces as well. They just legitimately can't put it together. I will say I don't think I do think Rodgers is part of the problem. I do think Rodgers is part of the problem. He shows flashes of who he was and he makes some great throws here and there, but I also see him there's a
Brett Favre
the
2.0.
anticipation, yeah, like some of the anticipation and some of the things just aren't there. Like it's not the Rodgers of young anymore. He's not. He's lost a few steps. That,
Yeah,
in
for
my
sure.
opinion, he's lost a few steps. He doesn't operate that offense as good as it could be. But if you also see, it's like I see the same type of things he had in Green Bay, where like look at their running game. This was a team that had a great running game last year, and that was the core of who they were and why it was like, oh shit, like with the running game that they had, if they have a QB that will get the secondary afraid of him, it'll just open up so many lanes for that running back, and yet their running game is horrendous.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball. Everybody is just stacking their wide receivers, and their offense is just bad. It's bad. So I don't know.
I'm not a Jets fan, and nor do I ever care to know what the Jets are doing, but I do find it interesting to see what local news outlets are saying, like what they're calling for Aaron Rodgers' head right now. They
I'm
basically want him
sure.
out. I mean, you see the demeanor after he goes off on like interviews for like team or like post game conferences or team interviews, whatever. He's like very low energy, very calm, and then when he gets on the Pat McAfee show, he's like very, he's very happy. Basically, he's the
Yeah.
total opposite of who he is showing. When he's having those post game interviews. So yeah, I mean,
And when
Tua
he
had a
was
hell
on
of a
Green
game too.
Bay, though, he used to have like a fire. He had like
Yeah,
an anger to the way he played. Like when he did his discount double check bullshit,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
he had some like, just there was that fire there, and you don't see that in him no more. He like there's an indifference
There's
I
that
see in him.
ayahuasca. That ayahuasca got to him.
I don't know.
That shaman.
Yeah.
That
But no, you're
shaman
right.
life.
Tua had a good game, of course. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, his number one and number two guys, they had a great game too. So yeah, I actually played Tua in a league this week too because I needed one of my QBs was out for injury. Not injury, but their bye week. So yeah, I was happy about Tua. It was a good game.
Falcons at Vikings. Man, did I blow this call. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to come in, light him up, but no, I mean, he had a bunch of yards, but no touchdowns. He had two pick six. I mean,
yeah. I thought the same thing, right? I thought Atlanta would keep it close just because Minnesota's yes, they have a great record, but they've just had some really close games. It just, I don't know, I don't trust them.
right.
But Sam Darnold just decided to go off this week and just throw everybody a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Everybody got the ball. Addison, what did he get? Like 2 or 3 touchdowns? It was insane.
3 touchdowns for 133 yards. Justin Jefferson 132 yards with 2 touchdowns.
I mean,
Aaron Jones still had a great game, 13 carries for 73 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a game right there.
That's a hell of a game. I think Sam Darnold was like one of the number 1 QBs on the weekend. He put up like a shitload of points. I can't even remember exactly, but yeah, that was
Daryl Mooney, the guy that the Bears let go this past offseason, went off with Kirk Cousins for 142 yards this past week.
Mooney's had a good season.
Yeah.
He's had a good season. That's why it goes to show sometimes. It's not always the player. Sometimes it's just the team and the fit. Because he's had a pretty good season this year. I almost want to say he's had a better season than Drake London, who's supposed to be their number 1 receiver over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah. I definitely, whoever drafted him probably I want to say he was probably in fantasy, probably a 6th or 7th round pick, if that. They got a hell of a steal because he's having a great season.
Seahawks, Cardinals. I didn't watch much of this game, but I will say that I did have the Seahawks in this. And I think I remember you talking shit to me about this game because you were telling me that I have a thing for the Seahawks.
I mean, you do.
But they did. They came out and won, baby.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, it was just a whatever game. I don't know. They're just a whatever team for me. The Cardinals. I've never been a really big fan of the Seahawks.
Marvin Harrison Jr. has not done much this year. I mean, it's good. It's rookie season, but I think we're all expecting fireworks there, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Well, it's because he was supposed to be their number 1 guy, and just hasn't worked that way. Their number 1 guy has been their tight end, Trey McBride.
Yeah.
And then sometimes their offense just is non-existent. So, but the other part is Jackson Smith and Jigba on the other side for the Seahawks. That's one person that this year has really come on. I think we talked about him a little bit as well. So yeah, I mean, DK didn't have a great game. Tyler Lockett, like we had talked about, he's pretty much non-existent on this offense anymore.
Did he play?
Yeah,
he did. He had 0-0-0.
Yeah, I mean, he had 1 target in the game, but he did nothing. It's pretty much Jackson Smith and Jigma's. He's 1B on that team now. Because I'll never say probably that DK is not number 2. He'd always be 1A to his 1B. So,
Bills Rams. This was actually getting out of hand for a little bit, and then Josh Allen was just a dog and was able to bring them back in the 4th quarter. Man, if he would have had like maybe a minute, 2 minutes left, I mean, I could easily see the Rams or Bills pulling this one out, but it was a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think who did I have in this? I think we picked the Bills in this for our super contest. Mm-hmm. And so they screwed us. But Matthew Stafford came out 320 yards for 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua had 1. Cooper Kupp had 1. Puka Nacua had 162 yards. I mean, were they even playing defense? Did they have a secondary?
I don't think there was defense in this game because they just went up and down the field, both teams. I will say, and yes, the Bills lost in this game, but Josh Allen is a legitimate beast. That guy, I want to say, in my opinion, he locked up the MVP in this game. He's the best player, period, right now. He's a legitimate MVP. Yes, what's his name with the Eagles has had a great season as a running back, but
I would even say Joe Burrow too. But
Joe Burrow,
the Bengals,
yeah,
obviously they can't stop anybody either, though.
yeah, Joe Burrow's having a great season too. But with the record that the Bills have and how good their team is, Josh Allen is legitimately carrying them. I mean, he's just having a remarkable season. There's no way, unless like he just shits the bed over the next few games, he's not going to win the MVP. I mean, there's no way he's not going to win the MVP. He's that good. He had 3 rushing touchdowns himself in this game.
82 yards.
Yeah, and then he threw for another 3 touchdowns. I saw a stat that this is the first time that there's been 5+ rushing and 5+ passing touchdowns in a game, period. And it was like, I was just a wild stat to me because we obviously seen some crazy games, but
yeah,
I guess that, typically it makes sense that there's usually they leaned one way or the other when it comes to touchdowns. Usually it's either heavy on touchdowns or rushing or heavy on passing.
right.
But this was the first time that there's 5+ for both categories in a game, which is a wild stat. But yeah, Josh Allen, that's your MVP. They're killing it. But the Rams did beat them. They played a hell of a game. It's the Rams are one of those teams that like I just don't know. Like when I see them play like this against the Bills, it's like, oh, they're a legit Super Bowl contender. But then they have games where they just don't show up, and it's like, well, where the fuck did they go?
Right.
So I don't know. They're just I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I will say that they've lost to decent teams for the most part. Like they lost to Philadelphia. Okay, Philly's a good team. They lost to Green Bay. Good team. No clue why they lost to Chicago. No team why. No hate there, but like just honest. Like that's honesty. They were early in the season, so they had like none of their wide receivers.
Cooper Kupp wasn't playing, I don't think.
Yeah, so they didn't have any other wide receivers. So that's a big part of it. They were pretty injured in the beginning of the season, so maybe that's a huge factor that I'm just kind of overlooking. But yeah, I mean, I think it was like 5 weeks ago they lost to Miami. I don't know why they lost to them. So I don't know. It'll be interesting the rest of the season because they're going to be a danger in that NFC in the playoffs, and I wouldn't want to play them if I was, some of those top teams, like
Detroit Rams again. That'd be a great matchup again.
Detroit or even Philly. Like I wouldn't want to play them if I were those top teams. If we're looking at what's in the top right now for the NFC.
Yeah,
Not a team I want to play. I would hope they get knocked out early and something happens by a wild card team or something. So we'll see what happens.
Well, on to your next favorite team, Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers.
Trash.
They were able to win with the double, not the double doink, just a regular doink.
Oh my
the end of the game.
Dude, I wanted that to miss so bad. I literally, Ryan and I were watching, and I literally jumped out of my seat like it's a doink, and then it went through, and I was like, no.
They pulled it. They were able to pull it off. Patrick Mahomes has not had a great, or he didn't have a great game this time around. He only threw for 200 yards. Travis Kelce just kind of ruined my fantasy football season this year. I picked him up early. I'm out of the playoffs in our league, unfortunately. But there's always next year. Just got to regroup, just like the Bears. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind Patrick Mahomes. I'm not a hater. And I like Travis Kelce, but I'm just expecting more out of them. And I just feel like obviously some of these games they've won. The referees have helped them tremendously.
Yeah.
So I don't feel confident. I mean, I feel like you've been saying their record is not, matchup of the team that who they actually are. Because
No,
I would pick. I mean, the way the Rams played last night. I mean, I don't know. Just I don't feel confident about 12-1 Chiefs.
no, absolutely not. I think the only reason why, I mean, one, it's the refs, but the only reason why they've been able to sneak away with some of these games is because their defense has played pretty well throughout the year. They've
Yeah.
kept them close enough to be in these one score wins all the time. Yeah, it's just an ugly, game for them. Like I said though in the beginning, the fact that they're gonna make it into the playoffs, I just they're gonna get a bye and then they're gonna get blown out by somebody, and it sucks because they don't deserve to be there. Somebody's gonna lose in a wild card game that would beat them. In my opinion, like that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be a good team that loses in the wild card that has a better team than the Chiefs. Just simply looking at records and what's most likely to happen is them getting a first round bye. And that's pretty shitty.
We
So,
only have 4 more weeks left.
yeah. I
4
mean,
more
that's why
weeks
I'm
of the
kind
Super
of
Contest.
that's why I'm kind of alluding to playoffs and things like that.
Well, actually, yeah. But I mean, we'll still do matchup picks. We'll do something else for the Super Contest instead of the Super Contest for the playoffs. But anyways, all right. I don't really want to talk about anything else. All the other games are pretty trash. I mean, we knew the Bucks were going to beat the Raiders, Jaguars, Titans. I mean, they barely broke. They only had 16 total points.
Dude, screw the Titans. They screwed me in our side bets between us and a few of the guys. I don't know why I went with them thinking that the Titans were gonna actually win that game, but they literally didn't do anything. It pissed me off. I'll never do it again.
All right, let's go to our Super Contest.
I think we got like 3.
We got 2, unfortunately. We got 2. What
It's a
was
rough one?
And I'm trying to think what was the one I was considering? I think it was the Panthers. Eagles.
So you swapped one and you went with the Chargers.
No, I thought I went with the Falcons.
Oh.
Because we agreed on the Bills, we agreed on the Bears, and then the Chargers were.
Oh, you're right. I picked the Chargers myself. So you swapped to the Falcons. Right.
And I think mine was going to be the Panthers, and I think it was like -14.
Plus 13. They were plus 13.
Damn, so I would have covered.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. All right. So, yeah, Falcons didn't do it for us. Bills didn't do it for us. Bears shit the bed. Chargers won. You got that right. And we both picked the Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, the Chargers lost, but they had plus like 2.5 or something like that.
Right.
So that's why they ended up covering. And then, yeah, unfortunate.
And as far as ranking go, we didn't really move much. We're still about 2,600. So, still got 4 weeks to make up some ground here.
You know, I read a crazy stat we can jump into the next week because it kind of pertains to this, but the Chiefs are 0-8 or 0-9 against the spread. Their spreads this season, like they have not covered their spreads one way or the other, and I don't know how many games in a row.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a crazy stat, like almost to stay away from the Chiefs because they just
against the Browns, where Jameis Winston's going to be throwing that ball all day. I mean, I can see it. I can see definitely the Browns covering this for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but yeah, I was a stat that, and obviously it's not that they don't win their games. It's that I think that they're favoring the Chiefs too much based on their record, giving them just too many points, and they're just not covering.
Gotcha. All right, so let's go to Rams first matchup. Rams 49ers. 49ers -3. I don't have any opinion on that right this second. Cowboys at Panthers. Panthers -2.5.
I mean, I don't know if it's the fact that I just dislike the Niners, but the way that the Rams played this week, I mean, I said it a little bit ago. I think they can go in and beat anybody. So I do like the Rams in that game.
Okay. Cowboys, Panthers, Panthers minus 2.5.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. I don't know. The Panthers have been playing well. The fact that they're favored against the Cowboys is wild to me. But I do understand it because Cooper Rush is horrible. Even though we put up some points, he's just not operating that offense really well. If you watch it, he's very predictable. The only bright spot is the fact that we've been running the ball really well. Rico
Mhm.
Dowdle has now gone for 118 and then 130 something yards in the last 2 games, and the Panthers have a horrible run defense. So that's a bright spot there. But Cooper Rush, he's not playing well at all. I mean, he's trying to get everything out. Everything's like a 3-step drop, quick slants, quick this, but it's causing the defenses to really predict in jump routes. And there's been some really close. I mean, he could have easily threw like 3 or 4 interceptions against the Bengals just because they were jumping so many routes. And it's not like the Bengals are known for their defense whatsoever. So I have no clue what's going to happen in that game.
All right. Jets at Jags, Jets minus 3.5. I mean, what a fucking spread. I mean, I don't know. The way the Jets have been, I mean, the Jags actually, no, I would probably lean towards the Jets in this one, but I wouldn't be confident about that.
I wouldn't be either. I like the Jags couldn't even put up more than 10 points against the Titans. I think the Jets are, everything says the Jets are a much better team, but they're just so not trustworthy because I don't know. I don't like them. 3.5 isn't a lot of points. That's one good thing, but that is, it's more than a field goal. So it's like,
Right.
it's
Just at that
not
tipping line, that tipping
right.
point. Dolphins at Texans, Texans minus 3.
That's a hard one too.
Man, they're all threes, basically. Chiefs at Browns, Browns plus 4. I mean, I don't know if I want to just bet it just because I want to see the Chiefs lose, but I would probably take the Browns in this one.
I don't hate the Browns. I don't hate the Browns in it. Yeah.
Commanders at Saints, Commanders minus 7.5.
The Saints just lost Derek Carr for the rest of the season, I believe. He's going on IR again. He tried to make some wild, stupid jumping play for a first down in the end of the game and landed on his hand and I think broke a few things in his hand. So he's done for the season. They're going back to their backup again. And yeah, I just the Commanders they're gonna lean on the run game. The Commanders do have a decent defense. I see the Commanders winning that.
Yeah, I think same here. Ravens at Giants, Ravens minus 16.
That's
I mean,
fucking wild, dude.
I can see it going both ways. I can see the Ravens coming out with fiery, being a great offense like they should be, but then I can see what they did a couple weeks ago where they just come out flat and do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, but
But
the
that's a lot
reason
of
why that's so
points.
big is because the Giants are that bad. Drew Lock cannot operate the offense at all. He literally, he's like a deer in the headlights back there. He can't do anything. The offensive line is worse than your guys, worse than the Bears, which is saying a lot.
Big run game for Derrick Henry.
They're basically predicting that the Giants are going to do nothing offensively, and the Ravens will obviously score because the Giants don't have a great defense. But that's a disgusting spread. Like that's a college football spread.
Bengals at Titans, Bengals minus 5.
Give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I like the Bengals minus 5, so we're probably going to take that one. Patriots at Cardinals, Cardinals minus 6.
No.
I don't know. Cardinals haven't been playing well, so I can't take that.
Nope.
Bills at Lions. This would be a great game. Lions minus 2.5.
I'm looking forward to that game. I'm definitely going to be watching that game pretty closely.
Yeah. Colts at Broncos. Broncos minus 4. I kind of like I lean the Broncos in that game at home.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I think the only thing going the advantage of the Colts, well, actually the Broncos just had it off too, but they're both coming off bye week. So I was gonna say maybe that gives the Colts a little bit of advantage. I know that I read something that Richardson was like he didn't even take a bye week. He was like in watching a lot of tape and just studying the Broncos because he wants to get better and because he hasn't played that well. I think he's worried about his job, to be honest, because he hasn't played so well, and the fact that they
Yeah.
put in Joe Flacco a lot. So I don't know. It'll be a good one, but I really think that I would probably lean because I just think that they're a better team right now, Broncos, and I like the -4.
Broncos at Buccaneers at Chargers. Chargers -3. I would have to lean Bucks. Give me the points plus and the Bucks.
I'm torn. I might go with you, except for the fact that the Bucks just don't have a great defense, and the Chargers do. And Mayfield, yes, while he's had a great year, he also has a tendency of throwing interceptions. He's a little bit like our boy over there with the Browns, where
Winston.
where he kind of just is. He's careful, but he's also not afraid to make mistakes. And the Chargers have taken advantage of mistakes more than anybody this year. Their defense is number one in turnover scores, and in turnovers in general. But the X factor is Herbert. I think Herbert's hurt, but I don't know how bad it is. I think he's weak, questionable, or week to week right now. So that worries me about taking the Chargers. If Herbert's playing, I think I would lean Chargers.
Okay. Steelers at Eagles. Eagles -5.5. This is gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. One has Saquon Barkley. The other one has the rejuvenated Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin.
Well, you're going against, I think it's like strength around strength, right? The strength of the Steelers is their defensive line. The strength of the Eagles is their offensive line. You have strength on strength, and which one's going to win? To me, it's going to be a close game. I personally think, and because of the points, and I think it's going to be a close game, I would take the Steelers.
Okay. Packers at Seahawks. Packers -2.5. I don't know. I get maybe it's a little hate because I don't like the Packers, but I'm taking the Seahawks. Fly, baby, fly. Let's
We're
go.
different there too. I'm a Seahawks hater, and I just think the Packers are a better team.
Okay.
Give me the Packers.
Bears at
The Packers
Vikings.
also have one of the top 5 defenses in the league as well. It's a quiet defense, but they have a very good defense, and I think that they're better than the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks do well against teams that they're supposed to beat. Not
You have
against
no faith in Geno Smith? Come on.
none whatsoever.
What are you talking about? Bears at Vikings. Shit. I don't even care. I'm not going to bet this game, so I don't even want to say.
I think that the Vikings do win this game. I'm a little worried about the +7. It depends, right? If the Bears of the not last week but the weeks before show up, then it could be potential that they keep it close. I don't think they win again. But that +7 worries me if we see the Bears of not last week but the 2 or 3 weeks before that. But if the Vikings of last week and the Bears of last week show up, then this is absolutely the Vikings are going to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I want the Bears to win. I don't want them to cover. I want them to win, but I think they're just going to get blown out. Fortunately. Falcons at Raiders. Falcons -4. I don't want any part of this game.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shit show too. I don't know.
Let's start from the top. Where do we Browns +4?
Yeah, I think we both kind of like the Browns +4.
Commanders -7.5.
I'm comfortable with that.
And then the other one was Bengals -5 against Titans.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead. What do you got? What you looking at?
Oh man. Scroll down for me. I am going. See, I always have a hard time with this because sometimes I want to go with like gut picks that like I want to see, but also it's like maybe it's against what other people would pick just because I want to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like also in my head, I'm like, well, it's a super contest. I want us to do well and yada yada yada. So I'm gonna go with that second part of me, and I did say my take, so I'll just leave those at that for anybody who wants to go think those thoughts. But go back up. Let's go with the Rams. I want to go with the Rams or the Niners.
Rams +3.
Yep.
All right.
I
And
think that the Rams are going to go on a run. I think the Rams are going to go on a run, and I think they're going to win out the rest of the season, and they're going to take it in. I think they're going to take it into the playoffs and do really well. So yeah, I got a lot of faith in them right now.
all right. So the two that I'm choosing between is the Broncos -4 over the Colts, or the Seahawks +2.5 against the Packers.
Everything in me wants you to go Broncos, and because I'm saying that, I have a feeling you're going to go Seahawks just because you want to spite me. Because that's
No, of course not.
no,
course
but
not.
everything in me wants you to go to Broncos.
I think I am going to go Broncos. I feel a little bit more confident about that pick.
Yeah,
they play pretty well at home. I mean, it's the first time I'm betting on Bo Nix, so God, don't spite me, please.
You know what's gonna happen though, right? It's always when they're like, oh, you know, it's the first time, I'm gonna trust the guy. And it's always those that you end up losing because it's like, I'm never doing that shit again. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So last thing, we did have UFC last week, and I had a hell of a couple picks there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just go through them really quickly. Chase Hooper, I did call the submission.
Yep.
Called the submission. It happened in round 1 against Clay Guida. When Clay Guida got on the ground, he couldn't do nothing. He has no idea what to do on the ground, which is kind of surprising because he's been in the games. He's had over, 0 carry the 1, 60 fights total in UFC. So,
like, how do you have that glaring of a weakness and have fought that many times?
yeah.
Oh, like you would think when somebody has that glaring of a weakness, they just stop getting fights because they're getting beat.
Yeah.
So it's a little interesting, but I guess when the guy's willing to take these prelim fights and not be on the main, and he's not concerned about that, he's just, putting in consistent work of
Trying to
whatever
get the paycheck.
fights. Exactly. Yep. It's just like a job. It is what it is.
Aljamain Sterling against Movizar Ivovlov, whatever his name is. I called the over in the rounds. Yeah. I did think it was going to go to a decision. It was actually a pretty good matchup, but again, if Aljamain tried taking him down, he doesn't do anything when he's there. So it was a good fight overall, but it did go to a decision. So I called that. Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. I wanted Anthony Smith to win. I am a fan of him, but Dominic Reyes TKO'd him in the second round. I guess Anthony Smith, one of his most recent coaches, best friends, passed away, and he was having some issues walking into the cage. He was crying and stuff like that. He was very emotional. At one point of the fight, he said to hit him so he can feel something. So between him and Clay Guida, I think they both need to maybe hang it up at this point. I mean, Anthony Smith works for the UFC as far as commentating and things like that. So it was tough to see, but fortunately, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
Did you see that? Go back real quick. Did you see the submission that was quick by Vincent Lequet? That was a nasty submission. It was really quick. I kind of felt for this one real quick because I saw this, they did like a little story about Themba Garimbo. How I don't know if you saw it, but with The Rock, how The Rock started supporting him.
Bought him a house.
Yeah. So it was like, I guess, because I didn't know his story, and seeing that, I was like, oh, I thought maybe, root for him a little bit. He got the little heartstring real quick for a second, you know what I mean? And then he went and got submitted so fast. It was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, how can I even support you? And it's not like that guy's that great of a fighter. You just had no great ground game for him, and it was so quick. But
yeah. Imagine doing a training camp for 6 to 8 weeks, going into the cage, and then just getting submitted within a minute.
Dude.
Or even when Ben Askren got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal with the flying knee.
Yeah.
You train for 6 to 8 weeks, and you just get fucking you get Mortal Kombat right off the
you can't train for that. No. You don't train for that. So it's Yeah, no,
Jorge
that's
Masvidal did say in an interview that um, he realized that Ben Askren would always start like as a wrestler with like
yeah.
bent knees, face forward, and things like that. So that's kind of where he got the idea to do the knees. So
Yeah.
it worked out, obviously. Um, Bryce Mitchell, I called this one KO.
Yeah.
Uh, Kron Gracie almost had him in an armbar at one point in time, but all he did was pull guard the entire match,
Mhm.
and then Bryce Mitchell was able to get out of that and take him to the ground and ground and pound.
Yep.
So that was another guy that they're calling for him to retire because he's like lost like last 5 fights in the UFC. So, or no, his last
4 fights.
some 4 fights or something like that. Um, so I called that one. Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov. I don't remember if I had this one, but I do remember saying it was going to be boring. It was going to go over
Go
in
to
rounds.
decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that one did do that.
That fight actually too, if you hear some of the feedback, they think that he got robbed, that Volkov got
Yeah,
robbed.
I
He
agree.
was so distraught after the fight, like he was just so like bewildered, like how did I lose?
Right.
And even Dana literally said, "You got robbed. Like I don't know what happened. We're gonna talk
Yeah.
to the committee because that was bad."
It's still amazing. Not amazing me, but it's still like, how are we still getting these so many matchups decided so wrongly?
Yeah.
It happens every fight card, every other fight card or so.
It does, and it's to the disadvantage of some of these fighters who are point fighters who fight a specific way where they don't have knockout power, but they fight point wise, and it's extremely to the disadvantage to them because you can't leave it in the judge's hands. You really can't. It's sad that you can't get adequate judging or trust that they are going to judge it correctly, or there's not a set way of judging. And I think that's the biggest thing is you don't know how they're judging. Everybody judges differently, and it's I don't know. I think there's something to be said about maybe looking into more specific and understanding on how the judging works in the UFC. Same with boxing. I think that's been a big
Well,
issue
boxing is
with
just
all
a
those.
shit show. It's been like that since I've been alive.
Yeah.
Shavkat versus Ian Gary. I had Ian Gary in this fight. It was a very close fight. He almost had him in a rear naked choke, but Shavkat was able to get out of it. It went to a decision. It was a good fight overall. I mean, not mad at the decision, but I wish it would have went Ian Gary's way.
Yeah. I
And
think Ian Gary had opportunities that he missed in this fight.
yeah,
Because Shavkat, he was visibly tired, like he was exhausted in that fight, and Gary, you could tell he still had it in him. So I think that he should have took a little bit more opportunities, and I'll say that I think he let the fight come to him a little too much rather than engaging in the fight. Taking spots where he could um just engage more with Shavkat. So I think that what ended up losing in the fight, to be honest with you, because I do think that he was the better fighter.
one of the matchups that Shavkat's going to get is Bilal Muhammad, apparently, supposedly. It's like the next big one. I personally think Bilal wins.
Yeah.
I think his cardio versus Shavkat's better. His ground game's better.
Yep.
Shavkat can obviously knock everybody out. I mean, this is the first fight since he's been in the UFC that he hasn't knocked somebody out. So definitely has that power. But I just think if Bilal can get to the ground, he has that cardio that can help him. I think he can beat Shavkat.
Yeah.
Alexandra Potoja. This Kai Asakura guy came over from, was it one championship, or I can't remember what the organization was, but he made pretty much easy work of him.
Yeah.
He did call out Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, to come out of
I saw
retirement,
that.
which was kind of funny. Mighty Mouse already said that he wasn't going to come out of retirement, but I would see that would be a great fight to watch. If he ever did actually want to come back out. But apparently, Demetrius Johnson's been training with Islam and Khabib in Khabib's camp, helping his fighters out.
I was gonna say, but isn't he cornering? He's cornering. I thought that
Yeah,
he's.
Khabib's cornering three fighters when Islam fights.
No, I know that about Khabib, but I meant Mighty Mouse. I thought that Mighty
Oh, is he
Mouse had moved
cornering?
on. I thought
Oh, I
he
don't
was
know.
cornering. I'm pretty sure I've seen him in the corner for some of the prelims against guys too.
Oh, okay.
That
Probably.
yeah. What is it? Unless he needs the money, what is it gonna do for him? All he's
Nothing.
doing is helping out Pantoja, because it's a no advantage to him. It's not like obviously if he wanted to keep fighting, then he would. But if he did beat him, then he has to keep the belt, and then he has to fight more. So it's like I just don't.
There's
Mighty
no
Mouse
there's
is
no
content.
upside.
Right? He's content with where he's at.
He's had he's had something like over like 10 fight championship belt defensive wins.
Right.
And
He has
then
nothing to prove. He has nothing to prove with anybody.
Pantoja, I think, has only had like 3 or so. So I mean, he still has a ways to go. But by that time, Mighty Mouse is definitely gonna be older, and he's just not gonna want to do it. So I mean, I understand the call out. There's nobody really else that's gonna garner that much, that has weight to their name to make that much revenue for them, for a fight. So I get the call out, but it's not gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean it does. You're right. It makes sense. Why call somebody out below you? Call somebody out that will only, push you up to the next level of consideration and yada yada. So it makes sense for him. But what I'm saying is the Mighty Mouse there's literally no upside for him, like you said. So it's not gonna happen.
There is UFC on this week, and the only fight that I really want to talk about is the main card: Colby Covington against Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is a dog. He's a beast. But he's beatable, and I do think Colby will win because of kind of what Bilal has. The same thing: cardio. He has a good ground game. He can strike. I just think Colby's a better, well-rounded fighter in this matchup. As much as everybody hates him, I do think he's going to win this fight.
So Joaquin Buckley doesn't strike anything like where I'm excited about him for any reason, but I will say I'm not a huge Colby Covington fan. I'm just not. I think he's a little bit fake, to be honest with you. I think he's trying too hard to put on a character.
Yeah.
It's just not fitting to him, or whatever. So I low-key want Buckley to beat the shit out of him, just because I'm not a big fan of Covington.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if Joaquin's most of its fights have been, knockouts or by decision for his wins. But I honestly think Colby Covington's just going to take him to the ground and have his way with him.
Yeah.
Maybe not submit him, maybe ground and pound, maybe he'll go decision. I could probably see a decision and just hit Colby Covington kind of just take him to the ground every time and just kind of having his way with him.
Yeah. You see him winning maybe 2 rounds based on staying on the ground, and the other ones that Covington just takes him to the ground and beats him up or holds him the whole time. So yeah, I mean, not that Covington is that type of fighter. He'll want to do some damage. He will want to hurt him. So I guess we'll see. I will say I do kind of like the second fight too. I've always been a little bit of a fan of Cub Swanson.
Okay.
He does put on some interesting fights. He's not a great fighter by any means. He wins or loses almost as many as he loses. But I still always have enjoyed watching his fights.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right. I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, fucking see you next week. I didn't forget about the 40-yard dash. I am going to do that. Promise I'm going to do it.
All
So
right.
I still believe I can break a 5.8 or something. I got to look at the stat again, but yeah, I will be doing that for sure.
I will tell you I'm 50-50. Part of me hopes that you do for your own self.
My own mental.
Yeah, your own
Because if
mental.
not, I'm going to go down a deep rabbit hole.
Part of me does, and then the other part of me wants you to not do it just so I can talk shit to you. But yeah, I wish you luck. I'll say that.
All right, thanks. All right, well, till next time. Till next week. Have a good week, guys. Peace.
Peace.
The Tony Tones world.